Welcome to the Motown India show. We have here with us Mr. Shashank Srivastava, and he heads a very important division at Maruti Suzuki. And we're going to ask him, how do you feel with the launch of the new Celerio? Is it going to be a very exciting phase for you?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. It's quite exhilarating actually, because this is the largest segment in the industry. Despite the fact many people say that the SUV segment has been growing, which it has, but this segment has been remarkably stable, and it's been about 45-47% of the total industry. So we have great expectations and hopes that it will give us big support in terms of volumes in this segment.
But so the fact is, the entry level segment is slowly declining. People are moving up to the higher level, the next level. So you still have a lot of trust and a confidence in that segment. How is the market changing in these modern times when it comes to the entry level segment?
So you have made a good observation, but it depends on how you look at it. And let me give you some statistics to probably make you think a little differently. First of all, the hatch segment. Of course, this includes premium hatches. We call premium hatches like Baleno, Swift category, i20. As well as the total hatch segment has remained remarkably constant. I just told you 45 to 47% of the total industry. The entry hatch and the mid hatch, where the Celerio belongs, that total is also roughly about 22 to 23% of the market. That has also remained remarkably constant. So the rise of SUVs is actually at the cost of sedan coming down, and not necessarily the hatches. That's one point.
Okay.
What you are probably referring to, and you are right, is that the first time buyer is also considering segments like an entry SUV or an entry sedan, or even sometimes an MPV, and that's a fact. But remember, in Indian market, the first time buyer is just around 48% of the total market. We still have about 34-35% as the additional car buying, and also we have the exchange buying, which is roughly around at the moment 20%. So those people, the additional car buyers, also consider this. So probably what you are referring to is the increased tendency of first time buyers to also consider other segments.
Yes. And coming to the Celerio, it has a lot of new features, a new design. But perhaps among the several USPs, one is the fuel efficiency target. Now that makes a great sense in today's world when fuel prices are actually going very high.
Absolutely.
So you think that's going to be a great USP for the product?
It is. It is. I think it's a great USP. The most fuel efficient petrol car in the country, especially at times, as you just mentioned, with the petrol diesel prices around or above 100. So it's a fantastic buy, I would say. At the same time, I think the 3D sculpted organic design, which you have seen in this product, is something which research has shown has really attracted the urban, lifestyle-oriented consumer. And I think that's also a big plus. And the other things also are there, obviously, it's got the biggest boot space in this category. It's got the idle start-stop. So it's got all those bells and features which the segment usually did not have earlier. So I think it's a good package, and that's one of the reasons why it is a top. It's a large, the largest market for Celerio, the outgoing Celerio, and I expect the current Celerio to continue that trend. Has been in the bigger cities which are more, should I say, technologically oriented. The biggest city of sale for Celerio is actually Pune, which is not true for any other model in the industry. So, number was Pune, Hyderabad, Bangalore. They're the top three cities. So, these are our research has shown that it is largely because there are a lot of people, young first-time buyers, who have actually were oriented with lifestyle like urban and more peppy, spirited sort of thing. And techies are a big segment, of course. IT. A lot of people working in the IT service sector as well. So I think design also is a major USP of this product.
Two more questions.
Yeah.
I know you're very busy. One is that why is India's largest passenger vehicle manufacturer going so slow on new launches?
That's an interesting question, and I think it's a very valid question because Maruti Suzuki has been known to introduce new products which are required by consumers. In all these years, this has been one of the major reasons why Maruti Suzuki has been so dominant in the marketplace. And yeah, I think the last big launch which we had was the XL6. That was in November 2019. There was a period where we had this transition from BS4 to BS6, and it was in the period 1920. And if you recall, in 1920, we were the first people to convert all the BS4 vehicles to BS6. And that, of course, takes away a lot of resources. And thankfully, we were acknowledged by the market because we had more than 50% market share in 1920. And in 2021 as well, our retail market share was actually just around 50%. So we have probably in last year, maybe we could or should have got some more products. You're right. And I think it's now clear that there are some segments where we need greater strengthening, and that's what we propose to do. And I can assure you that Maruti Suzuki will be extremely active and extremely pushy as far as the expansion of product portfolio is concerned.
Wonderful. And one last question. What are your views on electric vehicles? Is it going to be a quick change? Everybody's talking about it. Two-wheelers are getting into it. And there's a lot of excitement. What about Maruti Suzuki?
Yeah, so this is also a very often asked question. And, EVs, I think there is a consensus that they will be mainstream. So it's not a question of whether, it's a question of when. And on when, there seems to be lack of consensus. So earlier we used to think, or people research used to point out that around 22, 23, the powertrain cost of the electric vehicle and the ICE vehicles would roughly become similar. The gap internationally was about $7,000, $16,000 for the EVs, $9,000 for the ICE. And generally, where governments were giving subsidies worth the difference, there you found the electric vehicles, being absorbed quicker in the market. But obviously, that was not possible. What was expected was that as emission norms became more stringent, the ICE vehicles, the powertrain will become costlier because you need to make, and you saw that when we transited from BS4 to BS6 vehicles. So expectedly that will continue. At some point of time, the battery cost of the powertrain cost of the electric vehicles will start coming down, and then the point of inflection will come, and then the cost of running, as you know, for electric vehicles much cheaper. So one is that point of inflection which will come will probably depend on the battery technology and how the cost of the battery itself will come down. Of course, there are projections that it will come down. Currently from about $100, $109 per kilowatt hour, probably even to 70, 60 type of thing. So one thing is that the cost of acquisition for electric vehicles still remains high. Second, the charging infrastructure in our country is still in the nascent stage.
Okay.
And third, which is that the range anxiety which consumers have in their mind makes the adoption of EVs a little less quick than expected. Now, it's true not just for India; it's true across the world.
Okay.
Even where you have charging infrastructure, these three factors play a big role. And we expect that if we go to that route of electric vehicles is through electrification, which means that and I tell you the reason why I say it. If you do a quick calculation from today till 2030, seeing a CAGR about 6.8, 7.1% range, India would probably be in our domestic market selling about 70 million cars. And the consensus among analysts seems to be that it would be about 10% will be EVs. So you have about 7 million EVs, 63 million ICE vehicles. So what do you do about those 63? You need to do something about the environment. They have to become more fuel efficient. So our thing is that while the large scale of adoption of EVs will happen, and when volumes come, it will become a sustainable business model for every company to get into it and the ecosystem being built up. Till that time, we need to do something about the balance ICE vehicle. We feel we should get hybrids. We feel we should explore alternate fuels. Government has been talking about flex fuel. We are talking of ethanol. We are talking of hydrogen cell. We are talking of EVs. There are so many technologies.
Yes.
So we need to do something about the environment. So, and here I must make one point, which is that there are many companies. The technology may not be the bottleneck. So technology is available. A lot of companies you would have seen bring in EVs at a very high price, sell a few units, at the same time continue to sell very large diesel cars.
True.
So the thing is not about showing technology or exhibiting technology, but also about making a difference to the environment. And that can happen only when there are good volumes. And that can happen when, we just discussed those three things about cost of acquisition, the range anxiety going away, the charging infrastructure, the ecosystem building up. And I think we will get there. We have already announced, by the way, that we should get a EV. It's under development before 2025. We have announced that.
Fantastic. Wish you the very best, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks.